Hello and welcome to Wondertilt, the podcast where fascinating topics of the day are weighed with opinion, knowledge, and humor, causing the seesaw of life to lean in whatever direction it chooses to rest. My name is Super Dave, and with me are Russ.
Hola.
And Claudio.
Hello.
Oh, Cloud.
Hello again.
I dropped the curtain. Hello for the first
Hello,
time.
hello,
Open
hello
face.
twice.
Well, welcome. Got a great show. We're all coming back from the Christmas vacation holidays. How were they, guys? Anything interesting happen?
I got sleep deprived.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
But it was like a holiday sleep deprivation where you choose to not rest as opposed to you have to not rest.
Oh,
So
right.
we partied like it was 2010, baby.
And my mom telling you to go back to sleep.
Nice.
Yes, that's exactly that. Your mom told me to go back to bed. And so just so everyone knows, Cloud and his mother stayed with me and my wife for a few days. That is what he is saying. So, yes, we had a great time.
Word.
Yes. What about you, Super
Nice.
Dave?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Just regular, family presents, turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah.
Sleepy.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, so it was a good time. Alrighty. Well, so now that the holidays are over and we're getting back into life, into normal things, we thought we would talk about fear and terror and just irrational terror and fears
Happy New Year's!
we get about things. Yes, New Year's, new fears, phobias. We're talking phobias.
No resolutions here,
today.
baby.
That's right, we
Just
don't
good
believe in
old
them.
fears.
No, the resolution is to stop beating around the bush and just get into the topics of our podcast. So phobias.
That's right.
Yeah, phobias. We all know what they are, or if you don't, then I'll tell you, and you can pretend like you knew. It's like an irrational fear that somebody has about a particular. They come in different forms, but usually about a particular object or situation. It's a type of anxiety disorder defined by a persistent fear of an object or situation. Phobias can be divided into specific phobias, social phobia, or agoraphobia. Specific phobias are kind of the most common ones that everybody has, where it's like a specific animal or a natural environment situation, blood or injury type situation.
Danger.
Yeah, danger. Yeah. The most common ones: fear of spiders, fear of snakes, fear of heights, yada yada. There's also social phobia, which is a particular situation when a particular situation is feared as the person is worried about others judging them. And then agoraphobia, which they said is a fear of a situation that occurs because it is felt that escape would not be possible. So, I don't know. Anyways, so we're talking about specific phobias, I think, mostly today. So that's like when you have an irrational fear of a specific animal type or a natural environment type or a situational type or anything to do with blood injection injury type. Those are all classified as like a specific phobia. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what we're getting into. Specific phobias affect about 6 to 8% of people in the Western world and 2 to 4% of people in Asia, Africa, and Latin America in a given year.
Just less afraid than we are, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Or their fears are more rational and not about silly things that can't actually hurt them.
I'm afraid of
on
rice
that-
farming.
Are we too privileged?
Yeah. Oh no, I have too much money. What do I do?
That's right. That's the only fear, not having enough money. And it's an everyday occurrence for everybody.
That's just called life now. That's just the normal economy. Thank you very much.
That's their life. So they don't fear it.
Fair enough. On that note, we are going to get into discussions of our own phobias, stuff we might have or that people we know might have experiences with. There's some interesting, funny stories we can joke about. You guys, Russell, you got anything?
No.
We kind of have mentioned.
I have no fear at all.
No, nothing. All right.
Nothing that can be used against me anyway.
Fair enough.
I have fear. I have fear. I have some of the ones before we go into the most obvious one, because we literally threw me under the bus. Well, I threw myself under the bus. I don't even remember. How did that come about last episode? I don't remember.
I don't know.
It's okay. It's all right.
I
I just
watched that one
remember
again.
all of a sudden we started talking about it, and then I told a story, and it was great. So before that fear comes up, my main phobia, these are some of the other ones that are legit phobias.
There's some other
like, there's another
phobia.
one. My main
That's
phobia.
my worst one. I just can't handle it. I just freeze up.
This is a minor one, but it does kind of change my body chemistry when it happens and occurs. Because, like, people have expressed when, seeing a large spider or a snake, or, when they're claustrophobic or whatever, their shortness of breath, your heart starts racing, you kind of freeze up a bit, right? It's fight or flight, right? My fear, and I don't know the name of it, actually. I haven't looked it up yet, but it's the fear of missing out. My mom always used to joke about it, but apparently my dad has it. And it actually, there's intense anxiety with being late for things. I used to dread my swimming lessons, and I would actually, as a kid, I remember this very vividly, as like a 12-year-old boy, I would get ready 3.5 hours before my swimming lessons and stand by the door.
In like your Speedo and goggles, your towel.
No, like I would have my backpack
Flippers
and
on.
stuff like that. That'd be amazing. Mom, I'm ready. Snorkel all ready.
All right, honey, 2.5 more hours.
It's
I'm
winter
gonna go
time.
bake some muffins now. Don't answer the door. No, so I would do that, and then as I got older, being late for any function, even if I didn't care about the function, I would get intense anxiety. And so my mom, again, joked that I have the fear of missing out. And I don't remember what the phobia is called, but that's a legit fear that I do have, is if there's a party or something I've been invited to, or there's, a big function or something like that, and I'm late to it, or I don't know what's happening or what's going on and I'm not there yet. It's incredible anxiety. But the main phobia I have.
Wait. Okay, so back to that. So like it got me thinking of like in public school. Like if you had gone to public school and you weren't homeschooled.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Then you would have missed out on like tons of stuff, and it would have been the worst days of your life.
Yes.
I'm just thinking that.
Yes. No.
Just be happy you were not.
I already know.
there.
Like even in school where Dave and I attended, I remember we were studying for a final one day, and the final was on like a Tuesday. No, it was on a Wednesday, and I stayed up until like 3:30 a.m. studying for this final. And I fell asleep, and I slept through my alarm, and my alarm didn't go off. And class was, I think, was it at 8 or 8:30, Dave? 8? 8:30. 8:30.
Oh man.
Is it 8:30?
Yeah.
Is it 8:30?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So I slept until like 8:10. And all of a sudden my not landlord, but the billets that I lived with, his name is Corey, he came downstairs and he actually knocked on the door. And I remember clear as day waking up in pitch blackness and knock, knock, knock. Hey buddy, are you going to school today or what?
Just
And
skipping.
I remember like a crazy sweat occurred. I threw the blankets off. I don't even remember what pair of pants I put on. I didn't remember. This is how crazy of a hurry it was. I didn't remember to put on a shirt. I just threw on my work hoodie, my Happy Jack's pawn shop work hoodie. I bolted out the door. It was freezing cold. It was like minus 25. Rocketed on my Honda, sped as fast as I could, ran through the hallways, ran into the office or the classroom just as our teacher was at the podium, whatever, starting the exam, and I accidentally like butt cracked a student in the back because I dropped a pencil and I didn't have like my underwear on properly. I don't remember, but my pants were super low.
It was actually a dream. He didn't have any pants on.
That's right. I was actually naked. And I bent over to grab it.
You missed that final.
Yeah,
you
right.
failed,
You
remember?
failed that test.
You failed. And she's like, Russ, what the hell? And I'm like standing right in front of her, mooning her almost, like with my pants. And then I sat down. Oh, I was like the worst day ever. But again, it wasn't, now that I look back at it, it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't like you're late for the test, whatever. Or heck, if I missed the test, it's not that big of a deal. But at the moment, it was terrifying, not the test itself, but missing the test or being late for the test. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what it's about. Okay. Yeah. So that's definitely probably my main socially acceptable fear, if that's okay. The main fear that you guys probably heard in the previous podcast, and if you didn't listen to the previous podcast, I encourage you to go back and listen to it. It's a gooder. Is fish.
Doing. Fish.
It's fish.
Fish. Okay, so is this like living fish? Like, what about fish to eat?
No. Okay. So, you remember in Belize?
When did you get mugged by a fish in an alley?
Why did it scar you? When did the Batman Bruce Wayne moment occur? When did the Bruce Wayne moment occur? So
that's right. When did you kill your parents?
So to give you perspective, I can eat fish. I actually really like fish to eat, but if you put any like face on that fish where you like have a fish on your plate and you have to open it up and eat it, I'm not touching it. If you give me prawns, I'm not touching it. If it's anything that I can see as a fish resemblance and it's not just me eating meat, I'm not touching it. We went to SeaWorld. What?
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
He saw a reverse mermaid one day. Just traumatized him.
It was a dude.
We went to Victoria, BC, and we did like a SeaWorld thing. I remember this as like a 11-year-old, and they had this giant eel, like a giant eel. And it's this huge clear glass window, and you're sitting in this like mini amphitheater underground, and it's this window of water, and the scuba diver's in there, and he's just waving to the kids, and he's playing with some fish. You're like, oh, that's cute. I'm like, okay, I can handle this. This is totally fine. Then they're like, please welcome, I can't remember, I think her name was like Grace or something. Please welcome Grace, the giant 10-foot or whatever eel, and in to the left of this freaking huge screen,
in the red corner,
freaking huge eel, just slowly with the biggest, ugliest face in the world, slowly glides in, and he's like playing with it, and it's not a small eel, okay? It's a huge freaking effing eel, and I'm losing my crap.
Sea serpent.
I'm losing my crap, and so I obviously that from that moment I knew that even before then, obviously, but I think that's why I know that I've been afraid of fish. Not just like some rational fear I created at like 16 years old or 20 years old. I have been afraid of fish
your fear when you were
for
born.
years. Seriously. So I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. But to clarify, if it's a live fish, heck, if you even just threw a fish at me, a dead fish, and it's in like wrapping, like I'm not touching it. And
so
whenever
so like when you go fishing too, like when you have gone,
I don't
fishing,
fish. I don't fish.
Not at all. Have you ever?
I've fished twice.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't touch the fish when it gets caught. I actually walk away.
Okay, that makes sense.
I walk away.
Okay,
I walk away. And whenever I walk by the live lobster section in Superstore, I ain't walking close to it. Kids are like, "Look, Daddy!" I'm like, "Nope." The lobsters can't handle the lobsters.
Crustaceans? Nope. Fear of crustaceans too.
Well,
I don't know. I think it's
anything
just
in the water,
but they don't even look like fish. So what about what about
no
flying
resemblance.
fish? Are you afraid of them when they rise up out of the water? Or only when they go
like
back
demons
in again?
from hell? Yes.
I don't know what your point is.
That's probably worse.
If it's
I'm
fish or water
just
related.
trying to figure out, just because it's that seems like a logical distinction, whereas phobias are like an illogical, irrational. So it's weird that lobsters, because they look so different from fish. Is it the tail? The tails are kind of similar.
I think it's the live underwater crap, man. Maybe it's just fear of things underwater. Maybe that's that. Maybe it has nothing to do with fish.
I'm just wondering, like, what happened to
because crabs and lobsters go on land.
I agree.
What
I
happened
don't
to
know.
the guy with the eel though? Like, that made you get traumatized. Like, all it did was like swim in front. Did he get
that
like,
face?
Oh, he was murdered horribly.
He just ripped to shreds.
It strangled him in front of us.
The water
kids.
turns red.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all, kids. Gotta leave. Bye-bye.
And now they're feeding him tomato soup. Time to go on to the next cake.
We got to get Bert out of there. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't, like, we were served fish in Belize. Dave and I, we were at that cool restaurant right on that island. Everyone ordered fish that was like, you could see the fish, but you could eat the meat, pick it from the bone. I can't even remember. I think I ordered a hamburger or something. Like, I did not touch any fish.
I got the fish, but I actually didn't enjoy it. Like, I don't mind it. Like, whatever, that's fine. It looks like the animal. I didn't like how hard it was to eat. That, like,
I remember
sometimes
that. I was sitting beside you.
Yeah, even if you just have like a
poorly cut fillet or any fillet really. You just sometimes the bones get in there, but this was literally like they had taken nothing out. This was the whole fish, and you had to eat the meat around the little needle bones, and it was very difficult and not rewarding enough to justify the experience.
But I can't touch that. It looks like it's the fish.
I just wouldn't be able to like.
Yeah.
Eat with something staring at me.
It's literally just.
I agree. See, Cloud. See, that's my point too. If it resembles the fish, I ain't touching it. Not touching it.
All right. Cool.
I don't know
well,
why.
hey, this is a good episode to talk about it because that is not the most ridiculous thing you can be afraid of, by the way.
It's not. Well, then,
be at ease.
Well, now that I've embarrassed myself, Cloud, what are your fears?
What are mine?
Phobias.
I got 4. Okay, so like, fear of heights. I don't know.
Yes, that's rude.
Dave, what's the actual like scientific name for it? I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it. I'm googling it.
Sure, I had the list up, and I was like, I'm not gonna need that.
Okay,
but
well,
there's a list. I'm gonna say hyopophobia.
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 No,
it should. Be.
That's not a thing.
That should be what
or
it is.
don't.
Acrophobia.
Acrophobia.
Meaning peak, summit, edge, fear.
Okay.
Acrophobia.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah.
So like so when I had to do maintenance at the church and like put up wires and stuff and run cables, I'd have to use like a step ladder, right? Not a step ladder, but like one of those. What are they, construction ladders? Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Step ladders.
Yeah, are they step ladders? Okay, well, there's like that really tall one that like reaches all the way to the ceiling, which is like, I don't know, like
14 feet?
14,
10 feet?
Yeah, I was thinking 14, 15, something like that.
Oh, so like a painter's ladder.
Yeah, like a painter's ladder. Yeah.
Like a drywall ladder. Yeah, okay, all right.
So
big tall ones that go on the roof.
We put those up, and then I'm going up, and I'm going up slowly because I'm like, oh, okay, this thing, it better not fall. There's no one else there. Well, no, there was Matthew there, and
friend of yours.
So yeah, that's right. And so like I'm up there, but I'm not scared at that moment. But it's that moment where when you're at the top and like going up isn't a problem. It's just you're at the top, and all of a sudden any little shift in motion just freaks me out.
Yes.
And so I have to like anchor myself and become one with the ladder, so that nothing happens.
And definitely, like, depending on the measure of fear and how debilitating it is, like, that's definitely a phobia. It's one of the most common ones. But I think to some extent, that's just good sense. That's just survival instinct of like,
right.
Sound like a smart
I am high up enough that if I fall, I will injure myself. So, it's like a muscle reflex. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Going back down or like looking back down the ladder is kind of like jarring sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Is it, well, like if you like turn around, which you're not supposed to do, and go down that way.
Yeah,
but it's way more creepy. But
I will face my death.
One thing that like that's right. Yeah, face it head on. I'm just gonna jump from here. So one thing that helped me was Matthew ended up. He would like use those ladders to like wash windows and stuff on buildings. And so he was really used to going up and down them. And he's like one of those guys that'll just like run up those ladders.
Yes.
And when I saw him do that, I'm like, why can't I do that? And so then it kind of like, it helped me. I didn't run because I'm still scared, but like it helped me a little bit just to see that he could do it and I could see that it was possible. And then I was able to do it a little bit better, and I got used to doing it. But an irrational part of that fear for me is like when I'm playing video games, I actually get like the butterflies in my stomach. Like if I'm running on like down a corridor or something, and then all of a sudden you come to an edge and then your character's about to like fall off, or you get really close to the edge. I actually get butterflies from that.
That's awesome.
Even though I know that it's like a virtual game or anything, I'm just like immersed. I've become this person, and his life is mine.
But didn't you just do that a few days ago while you were visiting Cloud? You were like, I can't remember if you were watching a video or playing a game. You're like, who? And I'm like, what? I turned over to Cloud, and you're like, oh, I'm getting butterflies right now from this. Whatever. I don't remember what you were watching.
It might have been a movie. I don't remember.
It could have been a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah, it was just.
So it's a reasonably powerful response then if it's kicking off for you, even in like movies and games and stuff.
Yeah, it is. then next one that I have is fear of tight spaces, so claustrophobic.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
But it's weird because like when I get into a small space, it's got to be super small. It's got to be small enough that it hinders my movement. If it doesn't hinder my movement, I'm okay.
You're okay.
Because it's like my protective bubble, it like shrinks, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in this tight spot. I'll be okay as long as I'm still. I don't touch any of the walls. Then I know I have space and I can move.
You're still in control.
That's right. But as soon as like I hit a wall,
functioning claustrophobic.
That's right. Yeah. As soon as I hit a wall, I'm like, get me out of here. And then I like start expanding and just start freaking out. But another thing that I do know is like, when I start noticing that I'm claustrophobic or it comes to mind again, I'll grab my collar of my shirt because it starts feeling like it's choking me. Because I become aware of something near my neck, and it feels like it's getting tighter, but it's not. It's not at all. And so I'll put my hand like in between my collar and my neck, and then if it gets really bad and like then I like start sweating and like my hands get clammy or like my heartbeat just goes off and I just start sweating like crazy, then I'll like rip my shirt off. Just so that like it's just like, ooh, I'm safe. There's no chance anything is gonna kill me.
Sometimes you just gotta go Hulkamania on a guy, on a confined space.
That's right.
Just in the middle of this bouncy castle, Cloud just starts stripping in front of us. What the frick? What?
I'm sorry. I have to. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Goodbye.
I'm glad I wore the stretchy underwear.
Just has to be done.
Sax. This podcast brought to you by Sax Underwear.
Claustrophobia.
So. Okay, and then another common one of mine is spiders. I got a story for this one. So we went on a Mexico trip for youth and like on a missions trip. And we went to this old house and we had to paint it. And there were these kids with us, these like little, I think kindergartners, maybe not even. They were just like kids from an orphanage. And
Aww.
And we were all there, and we were gonna do something with like bottles. We were gonna paint them or something, or decorate them. And this little boy, he was asked to like move a crate of bottles that was full of bottles. And so he lifts up this crate, and it's been sitting there like overnight kind of thing. And we're all kind of at this house kind of thing. And he lifts it up, and this spider, as big as my hand, hits the floor, just jumps off of the crate. The kid like grabs it. It jumps. It's on the floor, legs spread. Okay, it's huge, and I'm looking at it, and I like freeze because I realize, is that really a spider? Is that really there?
Right.
And like, because you don't believe it, because you've never seen one that big. I've never seen one that big. There's pictures. There's legends of them. I don't believe this myth to be true. And and then the kid. He looks at it, realizes it's there, and he screams. And it's not a scream of fear. This kid has literally buffed himself by doing a battle cry. And he starts stomping away at this spider. and so he's screaming his head off as he's trying to hit this spider.
Stealing himself.
Just banging on the ground. And this spider, he hits it once. It jumps to the side. He keeps going after it. This spider's trying to get away, but it's obviously been hurt. And he just keeps stomping on it. And he kills it. And it crumples up into like this ball of dead. And I'm like, that kid is my hero. He has saved my life. And he saved the lives of all these other children. He needs a medal.
Wow.
Why is there no one?
Imagine if you did that for every phobia, though. Like, you're stuck at the top of the ladder, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't get down. And start going down one step at a time. That's a really good tactic by that kid. That's awesome.
I guess some people just go into the fight reflex, instead of like, just start hitting and screaming.
Yeah.
That could be a thing.
Yeah.
Freaking banshee mode, man.
Well, and I get like, and it was like, I don't know, after that, it was just like he always comes to my mind every time I see a spider. And my mom always told me since I was young that I need to kill the spider because it could hurt somebody in the house. And so that's because like she was used to like spiders in Chile in South America.
Right.
And so
Yeah,
they're dangerous, right? And so even here,
Yeah.
whenever I see a spider, I'm
They
just
don't mess around.
what can I use to throw it, chuck it? I got a book in my hand. How am I going to kill this thing? And it's more of a self-defense thing. Like I know spiders eat like other insects and stuff, and they stop things from getting in and all that, which is good. But I've always been taught that they kill things too, like people. So that's why I kill them anyway. There was this one time at work where there was this spider like kind of crawling on the ground, and some people were also scared of spiders and they weren't touching it. And I just went over to it and I squashed it with my boot, and all of a sudden these tiny little spiders just burst from under my boot and just spread
in only the first form of the boss.
That's right. And that's right. And they just spread like a star, like a firework from underneath my boot. And I'm just like, no. And I just like start stomping even more. I think 3 got away. I killed the rest. It was a lot. It was quite a lot.
Yeah, that'd be pretty horrifying. I'm generally not super anti-spider. Like I'm kind of a live and let live. As long as you don't get your webs in my face or where I'm walking, you can hang out and eat the flies. But
that's right.
If something just bursts into like a billion more tiny somethings, I don't think I care what it is. You know, unless it's like candy bars. That's the situation is just gone. You know.
Oh,
get the hell out of Dodge, son.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another thing, when I was thinking of like my phobias, and then spiders is like one of my biggest ones. I was like, okay, well, I have to look up some stuff about it so I can talk about it. And then I was like, but I don't want to see any spider pictures. Don't show me any spider pictures, internet. And so I didn't look anything up because I was scared. so I'm just like,
turn the scripts off.
I'll just stick to my stories, and that'll be good. I don't know any facts about these things because I didn't want to see spiders. I can't even look at a picture because like everybody's afraid. Like you're watching those videos of like spiders, and all of a sudden it like jumps at the camera. That is the one instinct and the one thing that I like always expect at every time. And so like if you hold a picture of a spider there, I will stare at it and not move, but I will still expect it to jump at me, and all of a sudden I'll cave and look away. And just because I expected to jump out, come to life, and suck my blood or something.
I agree. I understand that.
Oh.
But yeah, I got one more though. I got
spiders.
One more. Yeah. Okay. So I've had like this, like I don't have it anymore. It might come back, but in dreams, I've come to know that I've had like a fear of powerlessness, and I couldn't find what the name was. This is like the only one that I was trying to look up, and I could not find it. But like in the dream, I'm either trying to protect somebody from like a bully or a bad guy or something like that, or I'm being hit, and then when I go to like throw a punch, my punch connects, but it does like no damage. Like it's like a feather hitting their face, and they don't do anything. Whereas like in my dreams, your brain can like if they hit me, it feels like an actual blow. Like I feel damage, but my brain registers it as damage, and so you feel slight pain, but then I go to throw a punch, and it like grazes him, or like it hits him as hard as I can, and my fist hurts, but he is unfazed. And he comes at me again, and I'm trying to fend myself, and I can't do anything. Or
do a little level for that fight.
Yeah, that's right. I need to level up.
Yeah, come back end game.
Go farm, dude. Go farm.
Yeah. So and then also like if I'm running away from somebody, I'm not fast enough. I'm never fast enough to get away. Or if I'm running after someone, like I'm the one doing the chasing, they show those videos where like the hallway like starts expanding and the length gets farther away. That's exactly how it looks like in my dream, and I never catch up. And so
So it's just like a weird fear of powerlessness.
yeah, that's right. And it's like my own self lacking. So it's like an insecurity, right? So
Interesting.
that's the dream I've had. Like they're like two dreams that I've had continuously all the time, and then like it went away like a year ago or whatever. But that's probably because like my brain changed, my personality changed and stuff. Not personality, but like just my way of thinking changed for a bit. But it'll come back because I didn't have it for like a long time, and then all of a sudden like something was happening, which was probably a stress in my real life, and then I started having that dream. But it was like continuous every single night, and then for probably like a month, it was every single night, and I just kind of had to live with it. And then it went away after like changing my way of thinking or whatever, or I came to some kind of revelation that something happened. So, anyways, those are my 4 fears. That was heights, tight spaces, spiders, and powerlessness.
Okay.
Nice.
Dave,
All right.
you up, Super Dave?
All right. I'm up. For me, I've really only got the one main one that's kind of like a phobia. So I'm also going to throw a couple of my other family members under the bus and tell you.
Yeah,
what they're
man,
afraid
do
of.
it.
But,
Absolutely.
Yep. That's right. Let's hurt relationships.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So my main deal is I'm afraid of mice and rats and anything that's kind of close to them in appearance.
That's right. Okay.
It's called murophobia. Yeah.
No, you're a phobia. That's weird.
Yeah.
Points for Cloud. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So
I'm here tonight.
No, it's cool. It's super irrational. I mean, mostly every other animal I'm pretty cool with. I mean, obviously, I know some can kill me, so those ones I don't mess around with. But it's like the same. It's not the same feeling at all, especially because it's like that's what I hate the most about it is like my logical brain knows there's not enough biological force in this little thing to like hurt me in any way, especially if I knew it was coming and like had shoes on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Had shoes on.
But it
carried a little sword. It was like a musketeer.
Yeah, it's totally not. It's not a rational thing. I sort of know where it stems from. I'm getting into that because I think I got some notes on causes of phobias, like some of the main ways that they occur and why and how to treat them. But for me, it was when I was a kid, when we first moved to Yellowknife up in the Northwest, when I was like 4 or 5. We moved into this mine house because my dad was working at a mine up there at the time, and we lived on the camp for the first few years before we were old enough to go to school. And mice in the house, bad mice, it was a big problem. And my mom and my aunt that we lived with were like, I guess, pretty reactionary to them and kind of like made a big deal about it.
More than the mice did.
Well, they sort of taught us, you know what I mean? Like when you're a kid, especially, you're watching your parents for like guidance, and if all of a sudden they're terrified, you're just like, what's going on? What's wrong? Oh my gosh, this must really be bad if they're freaking out, you know? So we can get into that. That's kind of a way that can happen. But yeah, mice, don't like rats, don't like chinchillas, guinea pigs, hamsters, bunnies are kind of on the fence. Yeah, I don't know.
Depends if they're the ones with the floppy ears or not.
Yeah, well, if they're the albino red eye ones, then that's certainly
the red eye ones. They're evil.
But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. They're little black soulless eyes, and their little noses, and their little naked tails, and their little naked claws. And they can climb up walls and eat through stuff, and they don't care, and they just poop on it. Everything.
Wow, that's not really fear. I hear that's
more inconvenient than anything.
Yeah, well, it's if you see me with it when I see it a mouse, it's like it's knee jerk. Like I'm immediately screaming, moving away from it as fast as I can, climbing on top of stuff, and I can't. It's not, you know. The other day I was waiting in the McDonald's drive-through, and it was probably pretty late morning, and it's super cold outside, and I saw one outside run in front of my car in
it was the mascot,
like in like headlights
kind of suit.
And I had to do a double take, but it was horrifying. And then I thought, man, I got a bunch of garbage in my car. What if I have mice in my car? Oh my gosh, I have mice in my car. No, I don't.
Oh,
Oh,
my
no.
gosh.
I
It
had to
escalated
I had to,
quickly.
psych myself out. I mean, the thing that helped me keep it together was just knowing that like it would take a lot of work to dig through all this garbage, and I don't want to do
That I had a
that
family
right
back
now.
at home that needed me.
And yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah, I can't
wait,
risk
because
life.
we one time, again, Dave and I were in school and we were going to this thing called Wilderness Challenge, and there was this huge cabin in the middle of nowhere with this big like wood stove, and it heated the whole cabin. And I didn't take you
Oh, no, the secrets
seriously
are
when
coming
you
out.
said you didn't sleep in 2 days.
Wow, I know, not really, not really. You could hear them like
There were
crawling through
mice
the walls.
everywhere,
You could hear
Cloud.
them.
On
They were everywhere. They were everywhere.
like
Like
I
you
was
could
just laid like totally awake, just listening to the hordes like climbing through the house and
It's
like
true, man.
listening to everybody else
I don't
sleep
know.
and snore. And
Their horrible
I don't know
twitchy
why we weren't
noses.
legally allowed to live there. It was so unsanitary in that like little cabin. It was so bad.
I don't know. It was probably like a traditional thing of like, oh, we've
Anyways,
come to this middle school, schools come here for, and yeah.
exactly. But that's sorry.
But-
That just struck my memory. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example. I had actually struck that from my memory, so now it's
That's
back.
right. Trauma. There we go.
Good night, Dave.
Once again,
Yay!
reinforcing my fear. Thank you.
Yes, good. Well, I won't sleep tonight either. Yes.
So also, that's my main deal. My mom is extremely claustrophobic in these situations where it occurs. Like, even as far as like elevators, she has a really hard time in, especially if there's like a bunch of other people.
One year we went to a harvest festival, and there was a corn maze. And I don't know how we got her to go in, and I didn't realize it was much a
We
big
threw
deal
her
at
in
the
a
time.
locker.
But then, like halfway through, when she realized like she didn't know how to get out, she was having a bad time.
Oh, no.
That's when my brother and I
I'd be
climbed up on
pulling
his
out a
shoulders,
knife,
and he's like
start
6
cutting the
foot 7.
shrubbery.
Well, that's what I was telling her. I was like, it's just
Just
corn, just plow through
straight
it. Like it's
line.
not, but it's just the visual appearance of walls everywhere and like
Yes.
no way out, and yeah.
just
So,
light a match, start
I climbed
burning
up
the
on my
whole
brother's
field.
shoulders. Yeah, he gave me a piggyback ride and see the exit because
Oh,
he's
man.
really tall and I'm really tall, our combined height. And then that was awesome. We actually dug it, and we started doing that a couple times where like, yeah, we'd just be like Mecha from Venture Brothers. Super
Yes.
obscure reference that I don't
It's
know.
obscure. I don't know
Two
what that is.
people will get, but that's what we called it. Yeah, it was dumb. It's not worth looking up. But if you ever see it, you'll be like, oh, I've heard that before and I can't remember from where. Oh well. So that's mom. I used to actually be claustrophobic to some extent too, and I still sometimes in certain circumstances can start to feel something start to build up, but I kind of conquered it by I climbed into a sleeping bag that was zipped up head first, and then just kind of like hung out in there and was like, I'm cool.
Just-
Yeah, I can't really like move
A
my
week
arms and
later.
legs too much, but I'm alive.
I have the fear.
Yeah, I emerged. Yeah, a
From my
bearded
cocoon.
8-year-old boy.
That's right.
And,
A beautiful
I-
butterfly.
yes. No. So then it hasn't really been as much of an issue. Because there's a few times when I was working, I worked for a construction company who did foundation repair, and we did a lot of work on like crawl spaces. I especially did because I was one of their lower ranking employees, and
Yes.
also I'm really skinny, and so that's the kind of work you get. And it was kind of cool in some ways because it's like these crazy like hidden dungeons under people's houses that they
Yes.
never even knew about.
Stupid crawl
Um,
spaces.
Hey,
Yes.
do you know what I just realized?
So
That,
they get
Dave, you're just describing that you are a mouse yourself.
Oh.
You were afraid of yourself.
I worked as a mouse temporarily,
Yeah,
and
and you went through
it was all
mazes.
about the money. Yeah. No, but there was a couple times like some of them are really small. Some of them were so low to the ground that other than we had the one spot that was like an access hatch we could go down on, and then our job was to dig the whole thing down like 2 feet. And there's some very interesting physical ways they came up with moving all that dirt. But anyways, all that to say is sometimes you literally had to like squeeze under like main house beams and boards. And like, I remember one house in particular where there was like a main sort of like support beam that like the house was sort of sitting on.
Yeah.
And we had to do some work on the other side, and I could get through it, but I had to like, I'm pretty skinny, but I had to like inhale like all the way.
Shimmy.
Like,
No.
yeah. And then even like mid stride, I can kind of feel like the weight of like the whole house on my chest.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I am literally supporting this thing. If I
No,
let
I
go,
would die.
it'll fall.
I would die.
Yeah.
I'd write my will right down there and be like, whoever's there, just take this. I'm leaving. I'm staying here. I'm going to die.
That's right. I'm saving lives right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. I'm part of the house now.
That's right. Leave me here.
So that was, but anyways, so it's not as big of an issue, and it's I feel like I've overcome it. So that's cool. And my brother is afraid of moths.
Well, no, he's
Moths
not.
I don't like moths.
Yeah.
I don't like
Some
them. I'm
about
not afraid.
their
I
weird,
just don't like
dusty appearance and their fuzzy bugness and their alien-like. Like, I agree they look
That's
super
right.
weird, but I'm into it because like it's super strange and like something from a different planet almost, like space butterflies. But yeah, he's not into it. That's a thing too, though. That's apparently a thing that was on the list, and I didn't care to note the name of it, so we'll just say, oh my gosh, it's a mothophobia.
That's right.
No.
Yes.
That's what it
Okay,
is. Believe it.
wait. So
Still.
describe to everybody how big your brother is.
I think he's like 6'7", 6'8". At least 2 pounds, probably around 250. I don't know for sure. Yeah, he's a big dude.
Moths get pretty big.
But I mean,
I understand.
Afraid of moths.
it's since he was a kid, right? And again, it's not like, you know,
It's psychological.
how big
it's
a
true. It's
fish
not
are you
logical.
afraid of? You know?
That's right. No, it's true. Okay.
The one under
Fine,
the
shut
boat.
up, Dave.
I'm just saying.
I found it, by the way. It's called
Yeah,
ichthyophobia. So shut up.
Nice. There you go. It's real now. Okay. Yeah, so those are mine and some of my family members. We've talked about a few of these, but I do have a list of the top 10 most common phobias.
Oh, please.
do it.
Please.
Yeah, we'll go down this, starting at 10 down to 1. So, and a lot of these are really, they look very difficult to pronounce, so I'll do my best and I'll pretend it's right. And
Say it with
you will
confidence,
just-
bruh. Say it with confidence.
Yeah. The first one, trypophobia. Any guesses?
Tripe.
You're afraid of tribes.
Those are fish.
That's correct.
Fish again.
No. Fear of holes.
The
Holes.
what?
Fear of holes. Oh,
Big-
actually, no, that is
Like
creepy.
holes.
No,
Yeah.
I know
holes
I
that
know
you
exactly
fall
what you're talking
into.
about.
I get it. I can relate. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. Okay.
Sometimes I
Okay.
see those pictures where like they just show like those chasms that like people jump into.
It's true, man. They give me the
Oh,
heebie-jeebies.
yeah.
Yeah, and I just like look at the
especially-
picture and I can't stare at it.
Like, if
Heebie-jeebies.
you can't see the
horrible.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I get it.
All
Okay.
right. Number 9, aerophobia, which is the fear of flying.
Yes, aerophobia makes sense. Okay.
It's a fear that's
That's number 9. Fairly common. I know
wanna
of
be
a
a
few
superhero.
people, and you know, I won't make you guess all these just because I got 10 and it'll take forever. But there's more guessing later. Number 8, mysophobia. Fear of germs. Mysophobia. Some of these have multiple names, like or more common use names like germophobia or whatever. But the technical term apparently is mysophobia. Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia is 7, which we talked about. Fear of confined spaces. 6 is astrophobia. Fear of thunder or lightning, or thunder and lightning.
So like yeah, with the thunder or whatever. I do notice that a lot of people, when like a thunderstorm comes around, they seem to be really super interested in thunder and lightning, whereas me, I'm just like, well, yeah, that's what comes with rain, and then I just go do
Really?
my own thing. Yeah, I could care less about it.
I love thunder and lightning.
Like
I love it.
I don't
Yeah,
like
it's
watching
cool.
it. Like I like the rain and I like the sound that it makes and like the smells and stuff. But the thunder and lightning, I don't find any interest in it. It's just like it happens and then I'm just like, oh well, there, yeah, it's gone. Okay.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's like fireworks. I don't know. I'm into it. I think it's cool. I think it's a neat like
Yeah.
natural phenomenon, like waterfalls or like a sweet vista.
Right.
But I mean, it's not like I'm gonna sit for an hour watching lightning. I mean,
No,
you
good
know,
point.
watch it for maybe
Good point.
10 minutes and you've seen it. And
Like that's
you know,
even
the
too
good
long
stuff's
for
in
me.
the movies.
That's in the good
Yeah.
stuff's in the movies.
So yeah, okay.
Sorry, Dave. Keep
Astrophobia.
going now.
Yeah. What was
you're
after
good.
the
Okay.
the
It's
thunder
cool.
stuff?
Number 5 is kynophobia, fear of dogs.
Number 4, agoraphobia, which we talked about, fear of big crowds or open spaces.
Right.
Introvert.
Number 3,
Other word.
yeah. Acrophobia, which we talked about, fear of heights. That's the third
Yes.
most common one. Number 2, ophidiophobia, fear of snakes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I
Legit.
like snakes.
And number 1, the most common one, is arachnophobia, fear of spiders, which,
There we go. That's me.
I mean, hey,
Makes sense.
that's you.
You're common,
I'm number
Cloud.
one.
You're very
Well,
common.
I'm the best.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, at least you have the benefit of saying you're sort of originally from a place where spiders actually could kill you,
That's right.
you know? So you got that going for you.
Yeah.
I am not from the land of giant man-eating mice, so I got nothing.
Now, have you heard this
That's
really
right.
quick? And I hate to interrupt, but let me know if you guys have ever heard of this one before. And I didn't Google this or anything just now. I remember this actually being a thing on like a news station a couple of years ago. Okay. This one might be pretty obvious, but let me know if you can guess this. But this has actually become a new documented phobia. Now it is rational and irrational in that we've created our own culture around it, and it's developed
Fear of
where
pronouns.
people do have severe anxiety when this happens, but it's called nomophobia.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is because
I don't.
I found out about one. Yeah, I won't spoil it. It is weird. It's funny actually.
What?
I was going to mention that.
Cloud, have you ever heard of nomophobia?
No, I have not.
Okay, Dave, what's nomophobia?
It is fear that someone will break into your house when you're not looking and replace all of your personal possessions with lawn gnomes.
Really?
No,
Nice.
that's not it. That's not
Nice.
it.
That's
That's,
this should be what it is.
that's nomophobia with a G.
I would believe
I'm
it.
sorry,
That's
I got
terrible.
my notes wrong.
Holy balls.
No, it's the fear of being out of mobile phone contact or like
Yes.
away from even somebody else having a phone that you could use or a line people could reach you at. Yeah.
I think that's called 1950, 40, 30.
What?
Before phones.
What?
When was the phone?
Oh.
18.
I don't know.
Whenever it was.
Man, I don't know. It's Alexander Graham Bell times, or maybe was he
Yeah,
a patent officer that
whenever
just
it was.
stole it? I can't
I
remember.
don't
He's the
know,
guy that stole
man.
it, I think.
But my point
Could
is this.
be. All the good
my point
ones.
is this. Nomophobia is a culture-created phobia, but I have a feeling, though, just like the mice and the moth thing even, or fish, yes, fish, arachnophobia, do we create our own phobias? Are phobias born, or do we create phobias based on experiences in our life, and then they just get implanted while our mind is, developing, and then it becomes an irrational fear no matter what? Like, do we create our own monsters, or are they created within us first?
Well, that segues pretty good into the next. I did have a section here about
Please.
causes of phobias.
Go for it.
Yeah. Because I kind of thought too. Like I have different times in my life I've tried to figure it out, and not like whether it's like some weird like inbred like survival instinct that we've sort of inherited from our ancestors or people who lived in more dangerous times when being afraid of disease-carrying animals or things who could kill you with poison or whatever was like more common.
Right.
But okay, I'll just tell you what I got here. So
Please.
it's proposed that there are 3 pathways to acquiring fear conditioning or phobias, or it's basically what it is, right? It's like so your mind has been conditioned to associate something that normally isn't fearful with like extreme fear and aversion, kind of.
Right.
So the three pathways are classical conditioning, vicarious acquisition, and informational or instructional acquisition. So I can get into that more because yeah. So the most common one is classical conditioning. This is kind of it's like a Pavlovian conditioning. Like you guys know Pavlov's dogs.
Yes.
He had some
yes,
dogs
yes.
that he, rang a bell and then gave them a treat like every day for so long, and then eventually he would just ring the bell and they would start salivating because they had
Yes.
attributed the bell ringing with keeping given food.
Right.
So it's kind of like that, where it starts with a negative or traumatizing event in a person's life, like almost falling down from a great height, for example. And then the original fear of almost falling down is then associated with being on a high place, leading
Every
to
height.
a fear of heights.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's probably the most common way of acquiring phobia. It's not the only way. Another one that we talked about is the vicarious acquisition. This is learning to fear something not by your own experience of fear, but by watching others reacting fearfully. So, for example, when a child sees a parent reacting fearfully to an animal, then the child can become afraid of the animal as well. It's like
Nice.
a learned behavior, either from your parents or people you see or people you work with or whatever. The third one is informational or instructional acquisition. So this is learning to fear something by getting information on it. So, for example, if you were to research plane crashes and causes for malfunctions for like a day, then you might start developing a fear of flying.
It
Good
just
point.
Or
starts
people
just starts
who,
spouting off facts on a plane about why they could crash.
yeah,
We're 80% liable for this wing to defunct and
That's right.
die.
Did you
and,
know?
yeah, too late now. Wheels
That's
up.
right. We took it off. That's the worst part, taking off.
60% of the seats used for flotation devices actually don't work.
That's right. But will we actually land
Bye.
safely?
We're flying over Saskatchewan. Why is this a problem? What's going on here?
So yeah, those are basically the three, I guess, ways that they have sort of theorized or figured out that so that is caused usually from something that happens in your life. It's not an inborn thing that you get, I guess, supposedly. I mean, you don't really know for sure until we master neuroscience and can figure all that out. So, but that's currently the leading theory is that it's just kind of those three ways. So either there's something
Interesting.
bad happening to you and attributing it, somebody else freaking out, or just filling your head with all the negative information and sort of allowing that to get your fears rounded up. And pretty crazy.
And I don't think there's really a solid answer. Just back to the question earlier, like, do we create our own monsters? Or are they created within us? I think it's both. I think the answer is yes. And I think in society, though, the thing that does disturb me, though, is at what point does it become too far gone where a phobia is no longer curable? Because I was even just quickly browsing while you guys were talking about your stories about some gentleman who was cured. I can't remember what fear it was. I don't think it was claustrophobia, but it was a fear of something. And just because they continued to do negative reinforcement, like they would continue to be like, I think it was fish, actually. I think that's where I was reading. It was about fish. They cured his fear of
Is
fish.
this actually a story about you?
No, not, well, geez, I wish I could get cured.
And
But,
was that man?
That's right.
It was me. But they didn't abuse him, but they're like, come on, touch the fish. See, the fish is dead. Don't worry about the fish. Look, see, fish isn't hurting you. And he actually was cured of it because of negative reinforcement or whatever, just because they kind of shoved his face in it. But I don't know, like the nomophobia disturbs me because that is not an ancient phobia. That is truly man created. That's our generation. Teenagers having anxiety attacks because their cell phone is lost. That's a problem.
Yeah, I think that's an internal like insecurity. I think with like social media and communication being so easy, where it's made the world so much smaller, all of a sudden you realize that if that was taken away, if the internet was taken away, phones, whatever, then the world becomes huge again, and you get overwhelmed, and you think you can't handle it by yourself. So I don't know. So whether it's like being lonely or maybe you lose all your friends because of it or something like that, right? Because you lose your phone, all of a sudden you have no contact with the people you've been in contact with online. How do you contact them again, right? All
Could
your
that
friends
really
are
be a
gone.
fear of being alone, right?
It could be like a fear of rejection. It could be a fear of
Right.
abandonment, right? Where it was just inflicted by a battery dying.
Right.
Where's my charger? That's why you get to the 1% and you're like, oh no, and your phone shuts off, right?
So maybe what I would say is if you really want to try to get rid of a phobia, like for instance with my fish thing, yes, it sounds stupid every time I say fish phobia, but could I really address it? Could I really go? Because there's really no rational reason for my fear. Just like Dave, if you put him in a room with the mice, Dave would probably do his battle cry like your Spider Boy story and just like stomp around like crazy. But even if there was a dead fish on the ground, I wouldn't touch it, right? Like it just freaks me out. But could you defeat that? Could you beat your own phobia, or are you stuck with it forever? I don't know.
Would you want to though? Like I think what this guy that they were doing the study on, was it affecting his everyday life? Like was he a sushi chef and he just didn't want to touch him?
Like to your point, do you need to?
Yeah, do you need to? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Is
right.
it affecting your everyday life?
That's the thing, and it's that they affect different people to different severity, right? Some people might just like, for mine, it's not. Yeah, I don't like it, and it's not, but it's not like crippling. It's like I'm very rarely in a situation where I encounter a mouse or feel like I'm going to. It's more often where I think I'm going to in my head, and then I imagine that there's mice, whether there is or not.
That's right.
But for someone where it's like one of them is irrational fear of the sun. Like, how do you live your life if you're afraid of the sun?
Exactly.
And you don't have enough money to be like a vampire or live in a bomb shelter. Like,
that's right.
So it's not, for some people, it is just like a minor thing, and it's kind of a quirky thing that makes you an individual or whatever.
But then there are debilitating ones.
Yeah. It segues nicely into the next section, which is treatment of phobias.
Ooh.
Oh God.
Cure me. Come on.
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
I got the full trilogy here. So, various methods are used to treat phobias. That include systematic desensitization, which is also called exposure therapy sometimes, where a person is gradually exposed to the object that they are afraid of over time in a controlled environment until they're able to face it and overcome it.
Nope.
So, someone would tell you, like, hey, whenever you're ready, you can go into that room. There's a fish in the tank.
No.
It's small.
The room is filled with spiders.
On the far side of the
Good
room.
luck.
No. Hey, you don't have to go right now, man. You can just sit here.
They're not
No one's
poisonous.
going to force you. When you're ready, the door's unlocked. People are in there too.
That's right.
We'll protect you.
I'm not doing it.
You find out what the first step is, right? And then if that's too much, then we'll say, hey, there's a fish in a building on the other side of town, and we're just going to drive by it. And, if you want to sit in the car, we'll tell you when we're there, and you can look at the building.
That's right.
That'll be all we do today.
We're going to drive by the aquarium today.
Oh, yeah. Nope.
So that's one.
See, across the freeway, there's the marine world. Wave to it. There you go. Yay!
Yeah, he can't do it. Here's the map. This is where the aquarium is. Are you cured now?
Oh, no. Oh, God, no.
Get that out of my sight. All right, I'm going to show you a diagram of our solar system.
That's right.
No. All right. All right. So that's systematic desensitization. Progressive muscle relaxation, which I don't really get, but apparently this helps patients relax their muscles before and during exposure to the feared object of a phenomenon. And this kind of reduces your level of anxiety and stress. And I mean, the thing is, if you can get yourself to the place where you can face it and it's like right in front of you and it's you're not afraid like once, then I think that's like huge. And even if you have to do it a couple more times, like it's like downhill from there, I would imagine. But I don't know. Like I don't know.
So it's kind
how
of like
a muscle relaxation massage.
I think it'd be like controlling the point where your body starts to go into that fight or flight mode. Mm-hmm. So like controlling that, right? So like calming that down so that you can make a logical decision. Because all you have is your brain left. You don't have your body left. It can't really do anything.
Yeah, and a lot of these are like that. It's like they're like mind hacks into like changing your mental state before they introduce you to it so that it's not so jarring for you.
Right.
Another one is virtual reality. Now that we have that, where virtual reality scenes are generated that may not have been possible in the physical world, allowing the patient to control the scenes produced in a private environment. So it's like you have the control, you know, you can turn it off or on, you can make it zoom in or zoom out, or, and it's, and also in the back of your mind, like I'm just wearing a headset, I know it's not real. I can hear and feel the real world around me. That's part of the problem with VR gaming they're trying to get over, is that, you're sort of aware of both worlds to some degree
Right.
Right now. So anyways, that's a new thing that they're getting into because now we have the technology for it. But
Of course.
Right.
virtual reality treatment.
I wouldn't be able to do that. I can't even like I get like I don't know. I don't panic or anything, but like even fighting like giant spiders in games like Skyrim and stuff, it's still like I don't want to fight them. Like I just want to one shot them and get out of there as fast as I can. If I can run by them, I will.
That's like me and the mole rats in Fallout. I'm playing Fallout right now. And in this one, they can burrow down into the ground and pop up.
Yeah, like by
feet.
surprise.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
I immediately just jump on a crate or a car or something made of metal.
You'll never get me up here.
Nope.
Right. They're such a low level enemy too.
They are, yeah.
So anyways, so the next one is, and we sort of talked about this. I think. I forget who it was, so I'll tell about it, and you guys can tell me if it sounds familiar. Where a therapist models how the patient should respond to fears. Oh, it's kind of like you with the ladder and that guy, Cloud.
Okay.
You're encouraging the patients to practice the behavior and reinforcing their efforts. So you watch somebody else do it and you see how they deal with it, and then you've kind of got something to work off of when you're panicking and don't know what to do.
Okay.
It's kind of like a flip side of the vicarious acquisition, where you get your fear by seeing somebody else freak out. This method is especially effective on children or adolescents, which makes sense because probably the other one is too. Yeah, exactly. They're still learning through sight and watching adults and how they do stuff. So yeah. Then the next one is something that I am generally very skeptical of, but I mean, people talk about it enough, it must be a thing. Hypnotherapy, where patients are first placed into a hypnotic trance, which is like an extremely relaxed state in which subconscious thoughts are more easily accessible. And then in cases where the phobia was caused by a memory that was previously repressed, this can be useful in helping them to uncover it so that they can address it. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been. Hypnosis just seems so weird and hokey to me because I've mostly only seen it done on TV or as like a entertainment act, Yeah. So anytime anybody starts talking about it as like a means of curing an addiction or a fear or something, I'm kind of like,
Right. Well,
skeptical over here.
I'm wondering, like if you're talking about like addictions and fears and stuff, like. What if they had that fear, they got hypnotized, that like says they don't have a fear anymore, and then they go and do the thing that they were afraid of before, and it affects them, and the outcome is how they were thinking about it when it's a negative outcome, and it happens again. Would that instill in them the fear again, or would the hypnosis just like keep working, and they're just like, well, I'm gonna go do that again and get bitten or something?
I have no idea.
Like, would it come back? Like, I'm just wondering, like alcoholics or something, right? Or smokers, and they get hypnotized to like not do it, and then they go and I don't know, like they have a drink. They're like, oh, I'm cured of alcoholism. Would their body remember? Like, would it get some sort of symptom that would trigger it?
It's probably like a case by case, person to person type thing, right? Yeah. Because I know addictions are like always, especially if you've been doing something for years, it's like one part chemical and one part behavioral.
Right.
So it is that, yes, your body has gotten used to have abundance of this chemical, and now that it's gone, things aren't going to work the way they did for a little while until you like rebalance. Right. But also the habitual side of it, of where you just kind of attribute whatever to your everyday life, or having a meal, or coming home from work, or whatever. And then when you don't do that, you just feel like what am I doing? Like it's like, it's like, why wouldn't I? It's just super hard to do all the stuff. So I think hypnosis in terms
It's
of
sketchy,
you know
yeah.
maybe we'll deal with some aspects of it, but
Yeah.
it sort of seems like it's the same ballpark as like the muscle relaxation or the I don't know, just kind of bringing down some of your levels.
Right.
And
Like
then
awareness.
on that note, yeah, there's just good old fashioned medication.
No
And
drugs. Do them.
yeah, we won't
Normal.
get into it too much. Yeah,
Normal.
because we're not licensed medical practitioners and cannot
Speak
suggest
for yourself.
that you should just take pills to
Cloud
take
is
care of your
secretly
irrational
a
fears.
doctor who is unemployed, just so we're all aware, by the way. So,
Yeah, my license is in the mail.
sorry.
Uh,
Yes.
So, yeah, whatever. It's just, so some medications can be help same way, where it kind of just like can bring down your anxiety levels. Like sometimes they'll use antidepressants, sedatives, or beta blockers.
Right.
They do different things that can help people, I guess, lower their sort of knee-jerk sort of reactions by being prescribed by licensed medical practitioners. We are not doctors. Not yet.
Oh. Nice.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good.
Grab some
Godspeed.
pills on your way out. You're in the candy
Yeah.
dish. Yeah.
Goodbye.
The candy dish. Placebos.
What's the name of this clinic? Not important. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So
I learned a
those
lot.
are some ways. There are ways.
All the ways.
Oh, such
Well-
ways. Look at all the ways.
I don't any. Okay, well then that being said, then Dave, you could go last since you're kind of you led into this. But any closing remarks, Cloud, in what you've learned today about the fear of fears?
No, just don't come after me with my fear.
Please, it's true, guys. We've been very vulnerable.
My kryptonite.
Don't do it.
I am
Don't
Superman.
use it against us. Yeah, don't use it against us. I'm going to second that, but I'm going to say, don't let this ruin your life. Fish for me.
Yeah.
It didn't stop me from
No,
snorkeling in
exactly.
Belize. It didn't
That's
stop
right.
me from doing some certain. So I would say, that's why I think it's very helpful, Dave, that you ended at least with the whole. This is how you can do some treatment.
That's right.
Don't if it's affecting your life.
Yeah, go to
Definitely
help.
try fight it. Yeah, fight it. Absolutely. If it's not affecting your life and it's a quirk like mice and you're a grown man, you can't fall asleep 2 nights in a row in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's
Won't name
perfectly
names.
random. No name
Get your
names.
life together.
Yeah,
Get your
a
life together.
Well, that's what I would just say in closing. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, no, I think we covered it. It's everybody's got a thing, and if they don't, then they're afraid of something they're too afraid to tell you about,
And
or
they're
fear of not having a
lying.
fear. I'm sure that's a thing. Phobia.
I don't have a fear.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, you can get worked up over just about anything. So, yeah, that's just about it.
The world we live in.
I do have one last thing. I have a list of 4 of the ones that I list that were super weird and strange.
Nice.
And I know it's strange to us, and they're all strange. But
Hit
I
me. I'm
mean,
ready to laugh.
some of these are in a league of
Please.
their own. If you have any of these,
All of them.
like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah.
That's right. Like anyway.
Yeah, sweet.
Well, first one, I'll have you guys guess too, just for fun. Just give you.
Ooh,
You might
nice.
have heard of some.
All right.
So
I'm ready.
the first one is globophobia.
Fear of the earth.
Globophobia.
I'm going to say that too.
Incorrect.
It makes sense.
Fear of
Dang it.
balloons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that is
People are
weird.
afraid
Like of
balloons,
popping
yeah.
or just afraid of the shape or what?
I mean, since it's globe, I would assume of like the perfectly round, expanding
Shape of the
stretchiness.
balloon.
Maybe.
Okay. Weird. Don't
next
come to
one.
my birthday party.
Just like a clown
No.
with holding a balloon. That's like a double fear.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally. Kumpunophobia. Kumpunophobia.
The fear of
No.
the song Kumbaya.
second I second that.
Maybe if it was being sung by buttons. It is a fear of buttons.
Oh my gosh. How do you put
Nice.
on dress shirts in the morning? You do
You don't
Velcro?
zippers all the time.
Zippers.
Just
Okay.
screaming at the top of your lungs, knuckles white with fear. That's how.
That's right. I only have
Don't look in
t-shirts
the
in my
mirror.
closet.
Yeah.
Wow.
The next one is oikophobia.
Oiko.
Oiko.
Wait,
Phobia?
what?
Fear of fish.
No, it's not that. And stop bringing it up. It's over. It's not that.
I don't know.
Russ, got any ideas or?
No, I've got nothing. Now that he's thrown my, that's terrible. Fish.
I was thinking
is-
koi fish. I was like, oiko, koi fish.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
I have
sure,
the fear.
I was thinking.
The fear of being a public figure. I don't know.
Fear of home surroundings or household appliances.
You would never survive ever. You would have to move to the Amazon. It's not
I can
happening.
only imagine what kind of a traumatic event you'd have to go through to receive that. But it's
At
cool.
least you
We'll
wouldn't
leave
be
that for the
monophobic.
comment
Sure,
section.
there you go. Whoever you are, there's no judgment. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the last one that we're going to laugh at, but it's okay because you laughed at ours. So,
Fear of mice.
haha. Pogonophobia.
Pogo.
The fear of
Pogonophobia.
pogo sticks.
That's what I was gonna say. Kangaroos. I'm going with kangaroos.
Well, it's actually
Giant
the
rats.
fear of beards.
Oh, nice.
Beards.
What? Well, I mean, women, that's fine. Like, cool. Like, that's cool. Whatever. You just make your guy shave. But if you're a dude, yeah, you can also control it. But if your bros like have beards,
surgery.
what are you just not gonna hang out with? Surgery.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
light surgery that like burns your facial
Oh gosh.
hair stuff.
Come on.
Oh, like
So you
the
never
laser
grow?
hair removal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's the
on
thing.
your face.
Dudes could probably do that on their face. But yeah, so there you go. So fish and mice and heights and powerless and claustrophobia, not such a big deal because
That's right.
at least it's not growing off your face. So
That's right.
So,
Feel
or is
encouraged.
it?
that's right. That's it for us, I guess, this episode. Thanks for watching Wondertilt. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next episode. That's goodbye from Russ,
Tip your waitresses.
Cloud,
Goodbye.
and Super Dave. Have a good night.
Goodbye.